My son and his girlfriend are not married, but referring to her as daughter-in-law is just easier for the sake of storytelling. Our son and daughter-in-law, both 26 years old, have been together for 2 years and live together. We have always thought she was a very nice girl, and she seems to make our son happy, so it is not a problem for us. Our son has his own law firm that he is currently trying to get started. We are very proud of him, and we are fortunate enough to help him with a startup loan. Our daughter-in-law works a retail job that she is very happy with. Some time ago, my husband and I were at their apartment and decided to order some food. My husband and I wanted to pay, and since my daughter-in-law was ordering from her phone, we gave her our card so she could withdraw the money from our account. We thought it goes without saying that this was only for one lunch. However, my daughter-in-law apparently put our card into her Apple Pay and has been using it ever since. We did not notice for a few months, but recently saw withdrawals that we did not recognize. We had our accountant look into it, and he discovered that 1. Our daughter-in-law has been using our card on her phone, and that 2. She spent around $17,000 on designer purses and shoes. We were shocked and called her to ask why she has been using our card. She got very defensive, tried to deny it, and eventually said she was entitled to it and asked why we cared, since we had not noticed her use for over 4 months. We told her she needed to pay us back immediately or we would report her actions for theft. She apparently does not have the money to pay us back. We went to our son, and he offered to pay us back, even though he actually cannot afford to. This is not about the money for us, but more about the fact that she has stolen a huge amount of money. While we are comfortable and it took us some time to notice, we still recognize the seriousness of stealing $17,000. Our son has completely dismissed her behavior and excused it as her being stressed. She has taken no responsibility, and we honestly want to go forward with a police report to teach her the consequences of her actions. Am I the idiot for suing my daughter-in-law? Not the idiot. She does not think stealing $17,000 is an issue and she is entitled to it. Let the police convince her otherwise. The audacity of this girl. I do not care who it is, how close I am to them, or how much money they have. Never in a million years would I ever steal like this. I wonder if she tried to tell your son it was an accident, and her phone just happened to save the card. She knew exactly what she was doing. A broke person does not just blow $17,000 in 4 months. They are careful with their money. I do not spend that much money on myself in 3 years, let alone 4 months. This was no accident. Press charges on your credit card will only reverse the charges if you file a police report. Usually, the credit card company cancels the fraudulent charges. If you choose to sue her civilly, you will still be responsible for the debt. And even if you obtain a judgment, she may not pay it. I would not give her any special pass to avoid criminal charges. Your son should also make sure she is using reliable birth control. I do not see this relationship lasting. How can he tolerate a wife who steals if he is a lawyer? Exactly. OP, you have 2 options. Involve the police, go all out, and hope for a felony conviction, or wait for your son to realize the truth and save him from this humiliation. Or wait about 10 years until your son comes to his senses, they get married, have 2 children, and a mortgage, and financially ruin your son for the next 20 years. Those are your 2 choices. If the daughter-in-law is this entitled, I have a feeling she will not hesitate to steal from your son's law firm or anything else that could get him into serious trouble. But I have a feeling OP is wealthy. They did not notice $17,000 in charges. It is not about the money. I would use this as leverage to get this problematic woman out of my son's life. Also, the fact that the son has a law firm means that if she steals from his accounts or trust accounts, he could lose his license. The fact that he does not see this theft as an issue is a major red flag for how he views his profession. And the fact that he is making excuses for her and is willing to lie to protect her is extremely concerning. This woman has shown no remorse, guilt, or shame for her actions. The only way she may learn her lesson is if she faces real consequences. Please file a police report. My mom is currently visiting from out of state. This is a rare occurrence, and we do not see each other often. I am aware that my wife does not like her, but I hope she would try to let the small things go, since visits are so infrequent. My mom is prone to crying, and once she starts, it can become hysterical. To be fair, she knows we do not like it and tries to hide it from us when she is upset, but I am not sure she can control it, as she has done it in public and at work before. Everything has been fine since she arrived. A bit awkward, but fine. The other day, my wife was not feeling well and left work. My mom did not know this and was cooking when my wife got home. My mom was video calling her husband and had a full-blown sobbing fit. According to my wife, it was about 50% because she is bored here and 50% because she misses him and wants to go home to him. She also mentioned that we were not the best hosts and did not say anything positive about us, except that it is boring here. My wife snuck up to the bedroom and didn't let my mom know she was home. She called me right away and was furious. She wanted me to confront my mom. I explained that I didn't think it was a big deal that she was venting her feelings to her husband. She didn't say anything personal or overly hurtful. And to be honest, she's allowed to be bored. She can be honest with her husband when she thinks she's alone. When I got home, my wife was clearly uncomfortable. She said my mom was in her room and asked me to confront her when she came out. She wanted me to tell her she was disrespectful and to stop being ungrateful. I asked if my mom had said or done anything to her, and she said nothing beyond the phone call. So I declined. My mom's eyes were bloodshot at dinner, but beyond that, she was acting normal and polite. My wife was cold to me all night and we went to bed. She said I needed to defend her and our house, and that my mom was bad-mouthing her and acting like an entitled guest and a spoiled princess. I told her she was overreacting, which was a wrong move, and that my mom has the right to process her emotions and to be bored. Your wife might be a little oversensitive in taking things personally. Does she get stressed having someone in the house? Because stress can do that to a person. Your poor mother, though, I just want to hug her. Has she had her hormones and thyroid and all of that checked? And poor you caught in the middle. Everyone could use an extra dose of hugs. You are the idiot. Have you considered that your mother fake cries to manipulate people and shield herself from criticism? Her crying to her husband guaranteed her getting spoiled when she got home. You say she can stop crying very quickly. You give the impression that you won't talk to your mom about calling you and your wife sucky hosts because you know she'll just cry again and the conversation will go nowhere. As a side note, it's deeply hypocritical to spend a whole post describing how your mother is a big crier and gets hysterical, presumably for as long as you can remember, and then go and accuse your wife of overreacting. Are you okay with people overreacting or not? And please, I beg of you, don't justify it with, "That's just how your mom is." Thank you. I can't believe so many people are buying the mother's act. She needs therapy, and others need to stop enabling her, because everyone is bending over backward for this manipulative woman. She knows she can weaponize her issues. If I were your wife, I would confront her and she can cry back home. Does your mom do this at work? Shoot, I may be an idiot, but rest assured my spouse would be comfortable in their home and I would stick up for them no matter what. In that case, mommy's tears. I am 23 years old female, and I love my boyfriend who is 24 years old. We have been dating for about 2 years, and he has always been supportive. Our relationship is great. So, when Christmas came around, I wanted to get him something special. He had been complaining about his laptop for a while, and wanted to upgrade to a newer model. So I decided to surprise him with a brand new laptop for Christmas. I wanted to get him the best laptop possible. In the weeks leading up to Christmas, whenever he complained about his laptop, I would take the opportunity to casually ask him which laptop he liked and what he wanted in a new laptop. The main issue he had with his laptop was its speed, so I thought it would be fitting to get him the same model he had, a MacBook Pro, but the latest version. Now, I am not a tech person. I don't know much about RAM, SSD, etc. I just assumed that a $1,300 laptop would be more than enough for his needs. So I bought the laptop without doing any further research. On Christmas Day, I gave my boyfriend the laptop and he was initially very excited. However, when he saw the specs, he was really disappointed. He said that with only 8 gigs of RAM, he couldn't get his work done on such a slow machine. He insisted that he needed a laptop with more RAM. This turned into a full-blown argument. I tried to explain to him that I had done my best and spent a lot of money on the laptop, so he should appreciate it. But he wasn't having it. He said he would rather return the laptop and get the one he wanted. I was hurt and upset at this point. I had gone out of my way to get him a really nice present, and I felt like he didn't appreciate it at all. Yes, I could return it and get him the one he wanted, but I had already spent a lot of money. The fact that he wasn't even willing to give it a chance made me really frustrated. So, to make a long story short, I decided to re-gift the laptop to my 19-year-old sister. She is a college student, and I know she could really use a laptop like this. I know it may sound selfish, but I didn't think it was fair that he didn't appreciate my gift, and I wanted to make sure the laptop went to someone who would actually appreciate it. My boyfriend is angry. He doesn't understand why I wouldn't just return it and get him the one he wanted. He couldn't believe that I would do something so selfish when I know how much he needs a new laptop. I feel kind of bad, but at the same time, this wasn't cheap for me, and a little appreciation would have been nice. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Your boyfriend may have been appreciative of your gift, but he needed a machine that could meet his needs. That's the risk of buying a laptop or something similar like a car without involving the person you're buying it for. The correct action would have been to return the laptop and allow him to use the money towards a machine that fits his needs. Not to mention, once you give something, it no longer belongs to you. In this case, it was his laptop that you took to give to your sister. To put it another way, imagine driving a rundown car to work. It's falling apart, and you often complain to your boyfriend about how unreliable it is. Your job is a 30-minute car ride away, and you struggle to make it there. Your boyfriend notices this and decides to surprise you for Christmas with a brand new bike. While it may be a nice and thoughtful gesture, it's not exactly what you need to get to work. But give it a chance. You never know. Actually, giving a bike a chance to be a car is not realistic. It's simply not the right gift. Also, who spends $1,300 on a laptop without doing the proper research to ensure it will perform for its intended purpose? A $1,300 laptop with only 8 gigs of RAM is outrageous. It would sound like a Facebook Marketplace scam if it wasn't an Apple product. The effort was only halfway there, and you ended up giving away his gift when he got upset. You should have returned it with your boyfriend, and he could have paid the difference to upgrade. OP, you seem to be placing more importance on your need to feel validated in your gift giving, rather than making sure the gift will actually be useful and appreciated. My children have blonde hair and blue eyes, while I have dark brown eyes and black hair, and am naturally tan. It's clear that my children take after their father. A couple of days ago, I took my kids with me to the grocery store while my husband was at work. As soon as we walked in, an elderly woman began to fawn over my kids. Normally, my kids are great with new people, but they were uncomfortable this time. So I smiled at the lady and quickly gathered my kids and walked away. However, about 20 minutes later, I noticed the lady staring at us. You see, we live in a rural, predominantly white town that doesn't see many non-white people. I try to avoid places with too many people because I always receive dirty looks, and it makes me uncomfortable. Many people have followed me, and I've even received threats and insults. My husband told me to quickly alert someone, preferably the police, whenever something like this happens. This woman continued to follow us and even glared at me at one point. I panicked and went up to an employee and told her that a woman was following my kids and me. She called over other employees, and a couple of them stayed with me while the others went to find the lady. It wasn't difficult to find her since she was close by. When confronted, the lady immediately began to cry and said that she was just making sure the kids were safe and that she didn't know if I was their mother. She asked me if I was happy now, and if something happened to her because of all the stress I caused, then I'd better be sorry. The employee asked me what I wanted to do, and I simply said I'd pay for my things and leave. I told my sister-in-law what happened since she came over to get something of hers, and she said I overreacted and probably scared the crap out of the lady. The incident scared the poor woman. She was not wrong, as the kids do not resemble you. I am unsure if I am the one at fault. However, the lady needs to address her biases, as does the sister-in-law. It was strange and uncomfortable for you to be followed around, and it likely made the children uneasy as well. The lady was embarrassed and tried to cover up her odd behavior. Your sister-in-law claimed you overreacted to a woman following you and your kids because they do not look like you. What kind of bigoted family did you marry into? She may not be the best person to discuss this with. Let me share a story with you. I have several white friends who have adorable brown babies, and they have never experienced such a situation. People usually follow them and compliment their beautiful family. However, I also have two black friends, a male and a female, who have white children. One is a foster mother, and the other is an adoptive father. Can you guess what happens when they go to the park? It is clearly a racist act to keep an eye on them and be suspicious of their intentions. We all knew the old lady was white the moment we saw her. There was no old lady of color stopping a brown mother to verify if the white kids were hers. It was a white lady who was afraid someone was trying to steal white children. This behavior is offensive, terrible, and harassing. The amount of stress she caused you is much lower than the stress she received. I have a coworker who is about the same age as my daughter. She rarely brings lunch to work, and when she does, it is usually just chips or crackers. One day, I offered her some food my wife made, and she loved it. So my wife started making extra food for her to bring for lunch. My wife comes from a large Indian family and enjoys cooking a lot of food. She misses doing that now that most of our children are grown. So she is happy to make extra dishes. However, another coworker, who is closer to my age, said that what I am doing is inappropriate in the workplace. She believes it is not right to only share food with one coworker, and it may seem like I am flirting, making others uncomfortable. As I mentioned, the coworker I'm giving food to is the same age as my daughter. While she is friendly and kind to me, we have nothing in common except for our love for my wife's cooking and working in the same place. I fail to see how her interpretation makes sense. She also suggested that I consider how the other coworkers who do not receive free food may feel. This does not make sense to me because it is impossible to do something nice for everyone in the world. If this other coworker wanted me to bring her some samosas, she could have simply asked. You are not at fault. Your coworker may have been excluded from a sandbox in elementary school, and it has haunted her ever since. You are doing a kind gesture. Many of my coworkers appreciate it. Many of my coworkers are younger than me, and I have fed them many times. I cannot accept that they do not have food to eat during lunch or dinner. Imagine flirting with your wife's cooking. How funny. I bet this woman is just jealous of the free food. There was a time in my 20s when my finances were in shambles. If a coworker had not treated me kindly like you are treating your coworker, I would have gone hungry most days. I would forget my lunch and eat crackers, but I could not afford it. You're doing a good thing here. Do not let anyone ruin that. I love the idea of leaving a legacy of kindness. Those darn onions are making my eyes water. OP, you sound like an amazing parent. Your coworkers need to mind their own business. It has nothing to do with them. Keep doing what you want. It sounds like everyone who should have an opinion is happy.